Good evening, dear viewers. This is All 24 Nightly News, broadcasting live from Algiers. I'm your host, Karim Fazakri, and up next are the top stories. Niger's military council warns of catastrophic repercussions of any military adventure, and Italy urges ECOWAS deadline extension as second summit set to address the crisis. Also coming up, Libya gears up for the elections. National Unity Government advances in settlement path with fair laws, and the new head of High Council of State vows to expedite presidential and parliamentary polls. Also ahead in our news, Transitional Sovereignty Council in Sudan proposes peace plan amid escalating clashes. And Ukraine accuses Russia of missile strikes and raises concerns over Black Sea movements, while Russian president orders drone production surge. Hello again, and thank you for joining us. First up in our news, Niger coup leaders cautioned foreign powers on Monday against any military intervention, revealing true pre-deployments in two neighboring Central African nations. Zara Farjani with the latest updates.
The Western African bloc ECOWAS one-week ultimatum in Niger ended on Sunday without any effect, as coup leaders snubbed the demand and went further to announce airspace closure under the pretext that a foreign power was preparing to attack the country. The National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland warned foreign powers against any kind of military adventure that would drag the region towards destruction.
Concordant information currently in its possession indicates that forces of a foreign power are preparing to attack Niger and its people in coordination with ECOWAS and armed terrorist groups. The National Council for Safeguarding the Homeland warns ECOWAS, in the pay of this foreign power, against any interference in Niger's internal affairs, as well as the disastrous consequences of this military adventure on the security of our sub-region, its stability, and the unity of our community.
According to the Niger Military Council, there is a pre-deployment of forces in two Central African countries awaiting the go-ahead for military intervention. No name of any country was provided, yet warnings to any participating ones in the potential operation were issued. They will be considered a party to the fighting.
Despite the disapproval of the people of Niger and of ECOWAS of any military intervention in Niger, the planning of this war has been carried out. Pre-deployment of forces to take part in this war has begun in two Central African countries. The CNSP is closely monitoring the preparation for this proxy war, for which the ECOWAS mandate was merely a conduit.
On Niamey streets, there were also sporadic displays of support but no signs of opposition to the junta, which said it would not cave in to external pressure to stand down.
It was the political context that led us to a situation where the military decided to put an end to this regime that everyone knew about. Today we went out to demonstrate, to show our dissatisfaction with ECOWAS.
The July 26th coup adds another layer of complexity to West Africa's Sahel region that has been struggling with military takeovers for years now. It is not yet clear what ECOWAS will do next to end the coup in Niger. The upcoming extraordinary summit in Abuja might give an answer.
In the same context, Niger's coup leaders closed the country's airspace indefinitely, citing the neighboring country's perceived threat of military intervention. The move follows the ECOWAS group's demand to reinstate President Mohamed Bazoum by Sunday. A military council spokesman stated on state television that they are countering the evident intervention threat, mentioning the true pre-deployments in two Central African countries without providing any further details.
Faced with the threat of intervention that is becoming clear through preparation from neighboring countries, Niger's airspace is closed as of today, Sunday, August 6, 2023, for all airports until further notice. Any attempt to violate national airspace will be met with an energetic and instantaneous response.
Still with the same file, Air France has suspended flights to and from Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, and Bamako, Mali, until August 11th. The decision was made following the announcement by the Military Council in Niamey to close the airspace to civil aviation traffic. Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani called on the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to grant more time to the military in Niger to restore democratic order. The statement was reported in an interview with La Stampa newspaper on Monday, as per the news agency of Nigeria.
The ECOWAS should prolong their deadline for the reinstatement of Niger's ousted president. The only way is the diplomatic one. I hope that the ultimatum of the Economic Community of West African States, which expired last night at midnight, will be extended today.
After the 1 week deadline, let me start that again. After the 1 week deadline set by the ECOWAS group, Mali and Burkina Faso sent a joint delegation to Niamey. The mission, led by the Minister of Territory, Administration and spokesperson for the Mali government, aimed to express solidarity with the people of Niger, as stated by the Malian Armed Forces in a statement on Monday. ECOWAS has scheduled a new summit to convene next Thursday in Abuja to address the solution or the situation in Niger and decide on further actions against the coup leaders, despite external pressure urging them to step down. This will be the second summit within less than 2 weeks, according to the spokesman for the ECOWAS group. The German government has issued a warning to Niger's military council, urging them not to harm nor commit acts of violence against detained President Mohamed Bazoum and his family. Sebastian Fischer, the spokesman for the German Foreign Ministry, expressed Berlin's concern and stated that they may consider imposing international sanctions and initiating national and international criminal proceedings if any harm befalls the ousted president. The French Foreign Ministry issued a statement declaring the suspension of its development and financial aid, specifically budget support allocated to Burkina Faso. This decision came in response to Burkina Faso and Mali's announcement of their readiness to undertake a military intervention against the military coup leaders in Niger, which was interpreted as a declaration of war on Ouagadougou and Bamako. On Monday, the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a call to its citizens in the African Sahel countries to exercise utmost caution and avoid traveling to Niger. They also advised staying away from gatherings and regularly monitoring the situation. The ministry justified these new recommendations due to what they termed a high terrorist threat and ongoing risks of attacks and kidnappings in Burkina Faso, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, and Chad. On Monday, the Beijing embassy in Niamey posted a statement on its website advising its citizens in Niger to leave the country immediately and either go to a third country or return home unless they have essential reasons to stay. On Monday, Algerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, met with the Secretary General of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, Mohamed Hamel, who is on a working visit to Algeria. They discussed the preparations for the upcoming 7th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, scheduled for March in Algeria. Both parties emphasized the significance of striving for high-quality outcomes that reflect the increasing global importance of the energy sector and fulfill the member states' aspirations for enhancing their capabilities. Prime Minister of East Timor, that is Shana Goshmao, conveyed his gratitude for the congratulatory message received from Sahrawi Prime Minister Bouchraya Hamoudi Bayoun on the occasion of his appointment as the new Prime Minister of the East Timor. He also expressed his pleasure in being invited as a guest of honor to participate in the 46th session of the European Conference of Solidarity and Support for the Sahrawi People. Prime Minister Goshmao emphasized the strong relationship of friendship and cooperation between his country and the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. In our other regional news, Mohammed Takala was elected as the new president of the High Council of State. In his address, he emphasized the need for unity to create a better environment that benefits all Libyans. For more details, Salman Asib reports on this matter.
One of Libya's top governing bodies elected a new president of the High Council of State, Mohammed Takala, on Sunday, in a development that could further break a country that is already split between two rival administrations. Takala succeeded Khalid al-Mishri as president of the High Council of State of Libya, a powerful figure who had been key in negotiations over the country's election laws.
إن المرحلة القريبة القادمة ستكون مرحلة تجهيز للانتخابات.
The next phase is preparing for the elections, to which all Libyans aspire. The foreign and regional interference and upheavals that have swept through the Middle East and North Africa are clear to all, and it is the duty of all of us to iron out the divisions.
During his first speech as a president, Takala invited political institutions to work all together in order to build trust in an inclusive community.
أدعو كافة مؤسسات الدولة للتواصل والعمل معا.
I invite all state institutions to consult and work together to create a positive environment, to build and cultivate trust among Libyans. I believe that cultural pluralism and different political orientations are a source of wealth and strength to build an inclusive society. We will do the national interests according to the terms of the political agreement.
The head of the National Unity Government in Libya, Abdelhamid Beiba, confirmed his commission readiness to directly proceed with the elections during a meeting with a special representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations in Libya, Abdoulaye Bathily. It's worth noting that Beiba also urged the Supreme Council of State to take part in the realization of elections, which will end the transition process in Libya.
Tunisian local authorities reported the discovery of 7 more bodies believed to be of migrants who drowned in a shipwreck off Tunisia. This brings the confirmed death toll to 11, with 44 still missing and only 2 rescued. The migrants aboard the boat, which sank off Tunisia's Kerkena island near the port of Sfax, were from sub-Saharan African countries, as confirmed by a judicial official a day earlier. South Africa has confirmed the participation of 34 countries in the upcoming BRICS summit scheduled to take place in Johannesburg from the 22nd to the 24th of August. Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor announced that President Cyril Ramaphosa has extended invitations to leaders from 67 African and Global South countries, along with 20 representatives from international organizations, to attend the summit.
The President has thus invited, with agreement from his fellow BRICS leaders, 67 leaders from the continent and from the Global South to the BRICS Africa Outreach and BRICS Plus dialogues. The leaders cover all the continents and regions of the Global South. The President has also invited 20 significant persons or dignitaries. These include the Secretary General of the United Nations, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, President of the New Development Bank, heads of African regional economic communities, African financial institutions, as well as the Secretary General of the AFCFTA and the CEO of the African Union Development Agency.
To Sudan now, the situation is becoming increasingly critical, with growing concerns about the risk of epidemics and the spread of infectious diseases. This is primarily due to the suspension of the public service system and health institutions in the country. The updates with Sofian Kenturi in this report.
The circle of clashes between the Sudanese army and the rapid support forces widened in the capital Khartoum on Monday and several cities in the western Darfur region. As for peace efforts, the deputy head of Transitional Sovereignty Council in Sudan, Malik Agar, said that the government's proposed roadmap to end the conflict includes separation between the fighting forces on both sides, expediting the delivery of humanitarian aid and ensuring the safety of citizens. In light of the conflict between the army and the rapid support forces, the World Health Organization issued a warning of the dangers of epidemics in Sudan. The country recorded lately 30 deaths and 2,000 cases of cholera, and the services of most of health institutions in the country suspended, which made the situation in control.
المواطنين حاليا بيعانوا يعني إذا
Sudanese people are suffering. Citizens are suffering to get health care due to the suspension of health institutions. Many regions suffer from water and electricity shortages, which indeed made life difficult for them.
The United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs confirmed that the famine threatens more than 6 million people and indicated that more than 2 million displaced people from Khartoum state are at risk of death due to the lack of food. International community and humanitarian organizations continue to put pressure on both sides to end this conflict due to its serious repercussions on people.
On Monday morning, a 17-year-old Palestinian youth named Ramzi Fathi Hamed died from gunshot wounds near the town of Silwat, east of Ramallah in the West Bank. He was shot and critically wounded by a Zionist settler while inside his car. The incident has added to the tensions in the region. A missile attack by the Zionist occupation near Syria's capital Damascus resulted in the death of at least 4 Syrian soldiers and left 4 others wounded. The official Sana news agency reported that the airstrike caused unspecified material damage, and some of the missiles were intercepted and shot down by Syrian air defenses. Over 3,000 U.S. military personnel have arrived in the Red Sea on 2 warships. The U.S. Navy's fifth fleet announced that the deployment of thousands of U.S. sailors and Marines took place on Sunday as part of a pre-announced mission by the Department of Defense. They arrived on board the USS Bataan and USS Carter Hall. Ukraine reported that Russian forces fired a total of 75 missile projectiles within a 24-hour period. The Ukrainian General Staff stated that the attacks included 30 missile strikes and 52 raids, resulting in the death and injury of several civilians on Ukrainian territory. Russian President Vladimir Putin has directed the head of the state-owned defense conglomerate Rostak to boost the production of attack drones. He specifically emphasized the need to increase the production of Russian drones like Cub and Lancet. Putin also expressed the opportunity for Russian producers to fill the void left by foreign companies exiting the Russian market, stating that they have a real chance to occupy vacant niches.
Cuban Lancets show themselves effectively. First of all, the heat is powerful. Any equipment, including foreign-made equipment, not only burns, but ammunition also explodes. Producers promised me that they would increase the amount of production. They are keeping up with these promises, but we need to increase production even more.
To another story making headlines, tensions in the South China Sea escalated when the Chinese Coast Guard demanded Manila to remove a warship from the disputed area, accusing the United States of using the issue to create discord in the region. In response, Manila summoned the Chinese ambassador to protest against what the Philippines National Security Council described as aggressive, dangerous, and illegal actions by China. Islam said with more.
The South China Sea is witnessing other tensions between China and other countries. A new incident ignited the ongoing dispute after a Chinese Coast Guard ship blocked Philippine vessels. Beijing accused the Philippine vessels of trespassing and that it had implemented necessary measures to protect its sovereignty. Following the incident, the Philippine government summoned China's ambassador on Monday and presented strongly worded diplomatic protest over the Chinese Coast Guard's act.
That as we summoned the ambassador, our ambassador in China, in Beijing, also issued or handed a protest note to the CN Foreign Ministry as of this morning.
For his part, Philippine president said that his country continues to assert its sovereignty and territorial rights despite challenges in the South China Sea.
We continue to assert our sovereignty. We continue to assert our territorial rights in the face of all of these challenges.
Amid the ongoing tensions in the Asia-Pacific, the U.S. Department of State issued a statement in support of the Philippines of what it called lawful maritime activities.
The United States reaffirms an armed attack on Philippine public vessels, aircraft and armed forces, including those of its Coast Guard in the South China Sea. This would invoke U.S. mutual defense commitments under Article 4 of the 1951 U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty.
Beijing, for this matter, immediately responded, calling for Washington to stop supporting the Philippines on the violation of the Chinese sovereignty in the South China Sea.
We urge the U.S. side to stop using the South China Sea issue to stir up trouble, earnestly respect China's territorial sovereignty and maritime rights in the South China Sea, and respect the efforts made by countries in the region to maintain peace and stability.
The disputes in the South China Sea have long been regarded as an Asia flashpoint and a delicate fault line in the rivalry between the United States and China in the region, which is seen as one of the world's busiest sea lanes.
All right, let's have a look now at more stories making headlines around the globe in the News in Brief.
At least 10 people were injured, 2 of whom in a serious condition on Monday, due to an explosion which rocked grain silos near a port in western Turkey. Authorities stated they are prompting an investigation into its cause. Faced with unprecedented rainfall in Beijing, 1,000 passengers on trains were finally rescued after being stranded at railway station in Montagu district for 105 hours. The heavy downpours in the Beijing region have caused anomalous floods in several districts and localities in North China's province in the past few days. Turkey is attempting to resurrect the Black Sea Grain Agreement in its initial state and wouldn't approve other plans for agriculture exports. The Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan stated that Turkey will continue its efforts to resolve the Ukrainian crisis, despite Ankara's concern about the recent developments in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Different regions in the west of Spain were placed on an orange alert on Monday, with temperatures expected to reach 43 degrees. Additionally, this is the third summer heat wave to hit the Iberian Peninsula, which is expected to last until Thursday. Iran's foreign ministry has affirmed its rejection to any foreign intervention in the Gulf region for security reasons. Additionally, the ministry underscored that the US presence in the region is not to achieve security but rather could lead to destabilization. Tehran has also assured that the security of maritime navigation in the Gulf region can be achieved through the cooperation of its countries.
The end of our program. For more updates, visit our social media platforms. Thank you for watching and join us again tomorrow for more news. Goodbye.